Good evening and welcome to the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. Very special event tonight with somebody in our own community who's made the wine. So we're really looking forward to speaking to Marc Stowells, Carl Munson and Gary Austin here. Gary, have you done something to your hair? You look, I don't know what it is. You just look different to me.
Well, I just added a slight bit of gel.
You turned up lovely. It's only January, only June. But great to see you, Gary. Let's go over and see some of your relatives in central Portugal. Oh, we're gonna.
Oh dear,
Hey, there they are.
Hey!
Oh, there he is.
This wine is really good. It really suits that wine store.
You're the real Gary Austin.
Tell you what, Gad, you're looking really well. I haven't seen you look that well for decades, man. What's your secret?
Terence, Linda, Gary, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, very happy.
Well,
very
thank
happy.
Nice and warm over there. We got a gentle breeze over here. It says 21 degrees on my computer. I'm sure it's hotter than that in San Martino de Porto. I'm guessing in Alfaiagra a little bit warmer than 21 degrees this evening.
I think so, yes. Yeah. What would you say
I'm
today?
trying to
38.
Tap the barometer, Garvo. See what is happening over there. Give
We've
it a
got
tap.
aircon on.
I've got the aircon, but it's still the aircon's going full pelt, and it's still 22. So
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure
it
the air will feel a lot warmer than that, won't it? Let's go deeper in, before we meet our special guest tonight. Let's go deeper into the interior with Pete and Diane as well. Good evening to you both. How's it going? They've got the sail up. How are you both? What?
Hot.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Scorcher over there. Okay. And are you being shaded by that sail? I guess we're seeing the sun behind us, so I'm guessing you must be.
Yeah.
Right. I'm
Good old
very
TV.
busy. We've not seen much of you on the morning show. You were on there this morning, but you've been busy in the fields, have you?
And out here, yeah, we've done loads of stuff. So I put some raised beds, and I did like a hardwood tabletop and a few, and I'm doing a bench as well. So I've been in the carpenter's shop and kind of on the farm. So yeah, a bit of both really last week. It's just those final touches just to make sure we're ready for the summer. So that's good. So tonight.
You have got quite a reputation for yourself with getting your hands on wood over there, Pete. First,
it's awesome.
First the stool, now the tabletop. So you're a bit of a dab hand in the workshop by the sound of it.
Oh, no, I'm not. But my carpentry teacher is, so he's fab. And even better than that, his son has OCD, and he's been doing my tractoring, and it's awesome. I love someone with quite severe OCD is awesome to have working on the farm. So he's been brilliant.
Was that a job description? So not essential, but desirable.
From now on, yeah, definitely desirable. It's a fantastic thing to have. It just means that he can't leave anything alone until he's finished it perfectly, which is great. So
yeah, get out there now. He's been out there all week. Michael Barton, good evening, everyone. And we know other people. We can see you. We know other people are watching, so do say hello. Oh, Leela as well. Good evening. Portugal, good evening to you, Leela. Let us know what you might be drinking. Before we bring our guest on, really building the suspense tonight. Garth, what was the idea tonight?
Right. We've never really kind of gone into the lighter red wine division. And we know through our foray into the Dow region, unpredictable though it is, that the lighter wines are not as attractive. I love these big, round, oaky, sweet red wines. Yeah. And I thought it's by far time now that we've served this sector. It's been overlooked. So we're coming to what we would call kind of everyday wines, your lunchtime wine, the sort of thing you might get as your Casas de Vinho.
Yes.
Something that's not going to leave you unconscious for the rest of the day, that you could drink with a meal and enjoy. But so really, what we're looking at here is a sector that sort of goes from your aguapés, the very light wines, to your sort of young wines, which are maybe from last year, or maybe just sat for a year and a half, maybe not necessarily in oak, maybe in stainless steel. Or maybe just in the bottle doing their thing. And there's a lot of these wines around. This is what Portugal is made of, these sort of wines. You can go to any little village and somebody will have a wine somewhere. And here we have Mark, who's produced one for us, today, which is going to be really, really good. So looking forward to this one.
All right. If we were better prepared, we would have recorded a new version of the Young Wines. We're playing the Young Wines. Give him a nice big round of applause. It's Marc Stowells, everybody. How are you, Mark? Great to see you. I said meet the maker, which sounded a bit ominous, but you are the maker of this wine tonight, which is amazing. And we've seen you, haven't we, come to Portugal, create your Quinta, and now we're drinking the wine from it. That is really very special. How does that feel?
Unbelievable, to be perfectly honest, because going back 4 years ago, Portugal was never really in my sights. Lots of things happened for many people, sort of 4 years ago. To be here now, sat after living in Portugal for just coming up to 2 years and able to actually drink my own wine, eat my own fruit and veg. It's just superb. I just love it. A
dream realized for sure, right?
Yeah,
and probably beyond your dreams in a way. I mean, 2 years, that's good going. You haven't hung about, have you?
No. Obviously, we chatted previously about various bits and pieces. I know with yourself, Carl, and indeed Garvo. I'm quite, as Pete was saying, I'm a little bit OCD in my planning. And therefore, I tended to make sure that absolutely everything was ready. So as I was going through my visa, I knew I had absolutely everything down to a T. However, once I've got here, I feel as though I've fitted into the Portuguese lifestyle of slowing down, taking your foot off the gas. There's always a mania. And so now I actually feel so less stressed out. I don't get fret up about that planning and that all that sort of work anymore. But yeah, to be here, as I said, sort of 2 years down the road and being able to drink my own wine, it's superb. It's absolutely superb.
Well, congratulations to you. We're going to try it tonight. So thank you to Garvo on logistics as well for making this possible. Me and Ben here are able to drink this tonight. Diane, Pete, what have you got there? Have you got a bottle of this, or have you got something else young from your locality?
We've got something from not far away from here. We did have Marc's, but we drank it. So we drank it already.
All right, I'm taking that as a very sign then. That's fantastic. Okay, so do you want us to taste it, or do you want to give us a bit more backstory, Marc? Because I'm wondering what the vines were like when you arrived. I mean, we're keen to get drinking, that's for sure, but I don't want to get too far ahead, and it would be lovely to hear the backstory of how this got to be from the ground and your Quinta into the bottle that we have in front of us.
Yeah, absolutely no problems at all. So when I first was looking at moving to Portugal, I think I had a vision that so many people have, and that is to buy maybe a ruin or a house that needed work and a bit of land, and then very much sort of develop it and improve the house, and then begin to grow my own vegetables, fruit, and very much sort of do my own thing. And so many people that have come to Portugal, I think, again, over the last 3 or 4 years, have very much adopted, and they've gone down that road. However, when I got here, I initially rented a very small house in order to get my D7 visa, basically. And after I'd been here a matter of months, my thinking was changing quite considerably. And what I ended up doing is I've bought a house in the village, which actually has very, very little land. It's got a small courtyard. But what I've also done is bought a Quinta outside the village, which is about 3 or 4 kilometers away, that enables me to really sort of go, and I feel as though I go to work. So I get up in the morning and I go to work, and I will do 3 or 4 hours on the Quinta. I'll come home, I'll have some lunch, and then dependent on the weather, I may well go back down, sort of late afternoon and do another 2 or 3 hours. So my approach from that initial thinking, I want a house and I want land and I want to be able to, improve all of that. And my thinking just changed. And in actual fact, what I did was I bought the Quinta first, because when I went and looked at the Quinta, and there's no residential status on there, it's about 7,500 square meters, of which a third of it is already vines, a third of it is olives, and then a third of it is vegetables, fruit trees. and sort of building. So it's got an adega there. And the one thing I did do was it was effectively already functioning as a vineyard, a working vineyard, and because I bought it off one of the local restaurateurs, and therefore he was actually using it to make the Casa de Vino for the actual restaurant. So there's an element where I cheated because I haven't done it from scratch, which was the initial thinking. But what I've got is I've got something that it has been ready made, and it has meant that I've been able to expedite the process of being able to drink wine, faster than had I sort of done it all myself. So
mentor to boot, by the sound of it. Has this person stayed in your life and helped you?
Yeah, so they run one of the local restaurants, which is probably one of the best in the village, and they've become great friends, and they've helped, but equally they wanted to move away from that, so they haven't necessarily wanted to be particularly sort of hands-on and there, but I can go and ask them any questions. But as things have moved on, then there are a lot of people in the village now, and which I can talk about how village life, I guess, which is potentially driven by the wine, how I sort of fitted into that. But just going back
to that, I'd love to come back to that and talk more about your village, because I think this is a dream that many other people aspire to. And it'll be great to find out more about your adventure and your journey there. But let's come back to that a little bit later, if we may, because we really want to have a little sip of this. Yep. Can you introduce us to your wine then, and we'll have a sip?
Yep. So the wine is made from Touriga Nacional grapes. It's classed as 100% Touriga Nacional, although which allows you to actually go up to about 97% of a single grape. The vines were put in just over 20 years ago, so they're still relatively young vines. And the whole way through, I've been supported by the Centre de Floresta, which is one of the local or one of the regional centres for agriculture in Portugal. And the one that I work with, they've actually got a specialist that works with wine, and it's been regularly tested. So it's 13.3% ABV. So it's on the slightly stronger side, and it's 3.4 pH. So the pH level is very much, the 3.4 is the target pH level. So, but for me, it's the best one I've ever made. It's the only one I've ever made.
That said, it is delicious.
Do you know what?
It is delicious.
Do you know what? It looks like wine.
And it tastes like
wine. It
smells
like wine.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's drinkable. And
that's the best thing to do with it, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you've seen that video that goes around with this guy tasting his wine that he put aside. But a big build-up, and then there's a sip of it and spits it out and chokes. I mean, this is the absolute opposite of that. You must be delighted with this. It's delicious. Let's go to Alvagra and the Austin faction. And from left to right, if we may, your first thoughts. Terence, let's go with you first.
Okay, man. I'm impressed. That's not a load of sort of flutter. I'm smelling it, and I get a bucket full of raisins. It's got such an aroma, and then the aroma dies off, and then there's something else coming in. I don't really know what it is. Haven't worked it out yet. But it's the smell alone is just so raisiny, if there's such a word. And after you taste it, I'm just having another quick slug. It's light. It's got a dry taint to it. There's no tannins in there at all that I can feel. It's just bloody good. I mean, for a first attempt, I mean, I think you've knocked it out of the park, really.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's nice and young as well. It's not overly sort of, been in the bottle for ages and sort of matured and gone sweet. It's got a nice dryish dough feel to it. I love it. It's got a nice colour. I mean, you wouldn't expect it to have too many legs at the moment but I mean, it's got a few.
He's a bit leggy.
The viscosity is there. So really, Mark, fabulous. I mean, if we're talking that's your first one, I mean, you've got to bring it on some, really, haven't you? I mean, in the next 5 years, what are you going to do?
Yes.
Get the
Top
medal
marks.
pack. Get the medal pack and polish them, because that's where you're heading with that one.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
absolutely. Thank you, Terence. Linda.
It's very pleasant to drink, and it has got it's got a lingering taste, which is nice too. It's very light in flavour, but very drinkable, and I really like it. And I think that it will probably mature and develop in taste. It's very nice. Yeah.
Linda, over to you.
Round two.
It's my turn now.
Yes.
Nothing left to say.
No, I'm really trying to. The smell on this one, there's something in there. Like, I agree with you. There's all that fruit going on, but there's something else there. Something slightly herby, something floral.
Do you live anywhere near a river?
That's very forensic.
Yeah. No, have we got a neighbour called Dave? No. And I can't figure out what the aroma is. It's bugging me. But when you taste it, like the guys say, it's very light in its taste, but quite persistent. Because when I'll drink this, I'll tell you what I'm tasting, right? You obviously get the fruit and something very, very slightly grape skinny, and then you get a very big wallop of something like blueberries almost in that sort of bracket. But I can't pin it down. It's something like blueberries is the closest I can get. There's something in the structure of this which is complex, which is really unexpected for a wine of this age. So I'm thinking, if you let this sit for a while, you're going to end up with a pretty good damn wine there. It's only going to go better and better and better. I mean, this is your basic wine. Come on, kid, bring it in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We drink a lot of wine.
We do, and it's smooth, quite silky wine, which is unusual for a very young
thing that's young.
Yeah, it doesn't bite you at the back of your throat.
Yeah.
Doesn't take you off
Nice.
your sleep, does it? Like a
Yeah.
leaf in Alsatian.
Well, we've had some like that.
Doesn't punch you in the throat, like a doorman or something like that.
So you
Punch in the
my
throat.
honest opinion, Mark. I'm not blowing smoke in your direction, but that is a very good wine.
Well, funny you should say that, because Louise is here tonight. We look at this. Word's getting round, and so's your wine. We were lucky enough to share a bottle of Mark's wine with him over a roast lamb dinner. That'd be perfect, pretty much perfect, wouldn't it? Stupidly passed up on a bottle for this evening. So never mind. There's always next year and next time. And Louise says that the aroma could be smoked. Do you think it's a bit smoky, possibly?
Could be. Yeah, could be.
That's
But
not a bad shout, is it?
it's not done in oak barrel, is it, Mark? It's not. Did it ever touch an oak barrel?
No, so the reason for that comment is, as I'm sure many of you know, Louise and Paul were very. Some of their land was actually caught up in the major fire that we had last year,
Right. Yeah.
and the fire got to around about within 1 kilometre of my land, and obviously the smoke was absolutely dense for 3, 4, 5 days. So it could well be that does have that sort of slight smoky taste.
Okay, that's interesting. And I wonder how that does work, and if other wine producers have spoken of that ever affecting their wine. And I'm aware, Mark, that there you are, sat in your apartment, presumably away from the Quinta, almost like on trial with your wine being drunk in front of you. So fair play to you for bearing your soul like this. I think it's going really well so far. How are you enjoying it yourself? I mean, presumably since you've been making and tasting this, there's been a development of the flavour for you personally as well.
Yeah, so before I came over to Portugal, I wasn't necessarily a big wine drinker. And, you know, I do actually prefer something that's a bit lighter rather than something that's, you know, very heavy. But yeah, you know, as I said, you know, it looks like wine, it smells like wine, and, you know, it tastes like wine to me. It's, yeah, you know. And
talking of things that smell like wine, Johnny Cocktail is here, everybody. How about that? No offense. I mean, you do smell of wine sometimes, don't you, Johnny? How are you this evening?
Tardy, sorry, regrets, but I've been following before I could log in, and I'm enjoying the show so far.
Thank you very much. I think that the memo didn't get through to you, for which I apologize. I'm glad you're here now. What have you brought with you, if anything?
I brought this lovely bottle that was shipped to me, delivered.
Oh my word. It worked.
Normally I reject bottles that don't have a label, but this one did have a return address, so I knew the sender and I trusted. So yes.
Fantastic. You've got it. I know you have you. Oh, it's open. And how's it going down at your house? How's it going down at Casa Cocktail tonight?
It is, I've again been following along, and all the comments are, I'm agreeing with them. I would be interested in hearing from Mark, as he's been drinking this. I may have missed it at the front end as I was scrambling to find the login, about food pairings.
The best we've heard so far is lamb, which sounds like it would work really well to me. Mark, what do you have to say to that?
So obviously Paul or Louisa sort of mentioned that we had roast lamb, and I took a bottle there. The other night I went to some friends, and we had pork ribs, and that was, the majority of people really enjoyed it with pork. However, there were a couple that they actually would just prefer to drink the wine without actually having any with any food. You know, that was their preference, and again, I think they prefer it because it's quite, you know, one of the comments that has come out from a lot of people is the smoothness of it. And yes, you know, it is a young wine. You know, the grapes this time last year, the grapes hadn't even started to develop, so you know, it's that very sort of short period. So, but in actual fact, the majority of people that I've shared a bottle with, or have had it, you know, had a bottle, they have pretty much drunk it as a, you know, as a drinking wine rather than, you know, with food. So
yeah, well, that makes sense, doesn't it, Johnny?
Because of the lightness, obviously it hasn't been spent much time, if any, on wood. It doesn't have any tannins to it, so I think it is very nice and bright and light, and I think it'd be great with a roast chicken, some other poultry dish. So I'm sorry I didn't open it before. You know, I cooked my dinner. Otherwise, I'd have maybe, you know, put on some chicken. But I think, yeah, it is. It's a very nice, bright expression of the grape, and I'm enjoying it.
Very good. Glad to hear that. Clothing Optional Wine Club. Good evening to you. That memo didn't get through either. Yes, always. It's clothing optional at the wine club here. Pete's sporting quite a lot of nipple for us this evening. Thank you very much, Pete. And if anyone wants to strip off, you're most welcome. Let's see how that goes on social media and YouTube. Talking of you, Pete and Diane over there in the Fundao area, what are you drinking tonight? Let us know a little bit more about that.
We're drinking homemade. There's a vineyard with, I think they do about 10,000 litres, and it was a couple of friends, and it's not far away from Miranda de Corvo, so Lamas, which is like a village just on from there. So we're drinking their kind of homemade one, and I have to admit I do prefer Marc's to their one. We had Marc's quite early on. We couldn't resist, I'm afraid. So and we drank it with a couple we know who have a big vineyard, I think they do about 200,000 litres in the Douro Valley, and they thought it was a really good first attempt. So that's, I think, high praise indeed from them. So yeah, they thought it was really good, because it's always nice to share a homemade bottle rather than something
We did
off
drink
the
it well
shelf. So
first.
yeah, so afraid we didn't resist. But yeah, it was definitely better. And this one was corked, so which Mark's definitely wasn't. So that's another advantage of not having an aged your wine for too long. But I think with your grapes, Mark, I reckon in 2-3 years it would be even better. So you have to do, the worst thing is trying to save it, which I think we obviously didn't even manage till tonight.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's quite the compliment, isn't it? And so much praise for your wine tonight. You must be delighted, Marc. Stowells is the surname, and you can see on the screen there, no relation. I mean, the Stowell family, I think in Chelsea, right, are notable wine importers for centuries, probably into London.
Yeah, the brand, they were importers based in Chelsea. Yeah, I the surname isn't a common surname. And there's two big companies, one Stowells obviously in the wine and the other's in quarrying. And somewhere down the line there's going to be family connections one way or the other. But my understanding is that Stowells of Chelsea were the original box company. So they were the company that actually first put wine into boxes. That may or may not be true, but that's my understanding. They were the ones that sort of initiated that a little bit, but like, Tetra Pak and, the Tetra boxes, the milk cartons. There's definitely no direct connection, but somewhere down the road.
A good name to have, though.
But obviously, Stowells of Chelsea, I believe they're now actually owned by Hardy's of Australia. They're such a massive conglomerate now.
Other end of the spectrum, isn't it? Basically?
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's going very well tonight for Marc Stowells wine, made in Portugal this year. His first attempt. And we're absolutely enjoying it here. Young Ben is with us as well. Now, what do you want to say about this wine tonight, Ben? I'm enjoying it. It's going to go well with our spag bowl that you've prepared this evening.
Oh, definitely.
What do you want to say about it?
So far, I'm a fan. It's not, considering it's a young wine, it's not too acidic, not too high in tanning either. Very nice on the nose. The first thing I got was olives, oddly enough.
Did you?
And a slight hint of plum.
Ooh.
As well. I think it would go, like Johnny said, very well with roast chicken, some sort of fatty meat.
Okay.
Ideally, it's got
a duck, maybe.
A duck would be a great one.
Yes. Yeah. How about that?
With a plum sauce. Yeah.
Duck and plum sauce.
Exactly.
Could you change that? Could you do that tonight?
How much time do we have?
Okay. All right. It's good having a chef in the building. Fantastic. Well, that's one. Anything else you want to say?
No, so far I'm a fan.
Yeah, brilliant. Me too, Mark. And thank you so much, Garvo, for getting this bottle to me. Really appreciate it via Terence. So thank you very much. And it's such a joy to be drinking a wine of somebody from our very own community. We've all come together to get to know each other in the last 4 years approximately. And now look, we've got a wine been made by Mark, top left of the screen there, and being enjoyed by various people from around this community in Alviagra, down in the Algarve. Johnny, fairly new to Portugal, arriving, coming in, drinking a wine made here. I mean, that must be pretty nice, Johnny.
It's a great introduction and a great community. So thanks to all.
Yeah, absolutely. So cheers, Mark, for sharing this with us tonight. Can we find out a little bit more about the adventure, the story? I loved it when you said, when we talked to you on a breakfast show and you were saying, I don't live on the Quinta. I chose to live in the town and I go to work. And I thought that was such a brilliant reframe of living the dream of living on the land and the good life, to actually have a sense of going to work. And I've never heard of anyone do that before. When did that occur to you and how did that come about?
I think when I was living in a small village before I'd actually sort of bought, and whilst I was still looking for property, I just felt as though, I must have seen 40, 50 different properties. And I was increasingly I wanted something within a town, but actually, or in a village, and as well as having sort of the land. And I think there's two things. One is properties like that tend to be on the higher end of the price bracket. Mm-hmm. So if you manage to actually get land and a reasonable sized house property in a village, then the price element goes up. But increasingly, more and more, I was trying to sort of work out what is it that I really want. And I was really enjoying the village life in the small village that I was there, that I was able to walk down to the cafe in the morning and grab a coffee. I could go and have a beer or a glass of wine in the evening. The local shop, I was able to go in and get my bread and all of those bits and pieces. And I was just able to walk to it, and therefore I didn't have to get in the car and so forth. And I moved here on my own, which brings some challenges, but also obviously there's benefits if you're moving on your own because you don't have anybody to answer to. Mm-hmm. But what I was also doing is when I was looking at properties that are outside of a village, and Pete and Diana kindly invited me over to their property. For me, that would be my worst nightmare because I'm living literally in the middle of nowhere. And I know that as an introvert, I would pretty much just not see anybody from one day to the next. And that's not, good for me. So the route that I went was actually I found a piece of land that already had a vineyard set up. It already had an olive grove, and it already had buildings, supply, services and everything that I needed, that I could walk in and I didn't have to worry about the real infrastructure of the land. And that for me was I guess something that in my mind was what I wanted, but I hadn't really found it. Or if I had found it, then I was talking a lot more money that I was able to pay or indeed prepared to pay. So the combination of actually having what I feel is a really, really nice piece of land, it gives me the option to go away, spend 4 hours there, go home, spend 4 hours. So I still have that sense of going to work. But what I'm not doing is I'm not actually down there now thinking of all the things and worrying about all the things that need to be done. Because if I was on my land, and it's there, I would still be working at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night because that's the way that I am. So
you've created a demarcation. I love that idea.
Discipline. It was actually separate work from life. I want a better work-life balance rather than working 12 hours and commuting 6 hours, 18 hours of my day being work. What I wanted was completely opposite, that a maximum of 6 hours a day being work and the remainder is, enjoying life.
Very good. We'll go to Terence in just a moment. I've got a vision of you. You're talking about being an introvert on your own land, of you ending up like Tom Hanks talking to a basketball called Wilson, on the but you've avoided that by having a very social life when you're off work, and you can go and enjoy that solitude on your Todd, making your wine, and that must be the most wonderful thing. Terence, we need to unmute you. Did I do that to you? Forgive me if I did.
Comment about Mark and saying that he's an introvert. Because so many people, when they come to Portugal, are quite extrovert. I often use the assimilation that a lot of people they're almost like gamblers when and you meet gamblers and they're risk takers. Being an introvert, how easy was it for you to make way in Portugal, being a self-confessed introvert?
So initially it was I found it quite difficult, but my mind was set that I had to do it, and the only person that was actually going to integrate into the community, or indeed if I needed to go and buy something, the only person that was going to do that was me. And there's quite a few times when I've gone to a shop and I've stood outside and I think I can't actually do this because it's in Portugal, and are they going to be able to speak English because my Portuguese is not as good as what I would like it to be. So it is about actually just sort of breaking down those barriers. But if I go back to my full-time job, I've presented in House of Lords, Houses of Parliament, NHS, my day job, but that was my job. And therefore you just get on and you do it. It's, when you're paid to do the job, you have to do the job. It's as simple as that. Now it's completely different. And what I've done over the last, so I've lived in the village now for 18 months. And that's actually hit the nail on the head, I think, with Louise. So in the village that I live in, so I live in Sabrera Famosa. In the village, we have everything that I need on the doorstep. We have a pharmacy, we have a builder's merchant, we have 2 supermarkets, we have 7 places I can get a coffee or a beer. You know, there's the health centre, there's the post office. And what I've done is I've really forced myself to actually get out there and socialise with the community. And now I think I've probably got as many Portuguese friends here in the village as what I've got English friends here in Portugal. And that for me is I've had 2 nights at the Festa this last weekend. I've then been playing a tournament of Malha. I can pretty much go for a whole week now without actually having to cook, because all the Portuguese people really want to, they want me to cook. But that is also because of this.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like it is. How to win friends and influence people, basically by a vineyard.
So I took a bottle of my wine down to the restaurant and put it very quietly at the end of the bar. And Antonio, the gentleman who owns it, he's the main chef. He took it out the back, and that evening I actually was eating. So he brought me my meal out, I just carried on eating. And the next thing, he comes out with a glass of wine. And and he said it was very good. He said it was very good. And in actual fact, they speak very, very little Portuguese. Very little English, and obviously I speak very little Portuguese. But 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, I went in with one of my Portuguese friends who does actually speak good English, and I asked him to actually say, look, give me an honest appraisal. And the outcome was that the restaurateur, he actually drank the whole bottle of wine that night. And for me, that was such a fantastic endorsement. But the problem now is he's telling everybody, go and see Mark, which opens up a completely new group of friends, because I think I've now visited 4 adegas in the village that I never ever knew existed. But it's a case of, we swap bottles. So I take a bottle, they bring a bottle, and it's great. It's a huge, it's really been there. And in the last 4 months, I feel as though the village, and I said this to Garvo and Linda a couple of weeks ago when I met them, I feel now that the village has actually embraced me the same way as what I've embraced the village. It really, for me, it really is. It just feels like home. It really does. Yeah.
How about that?
I see Louise popping up the message with regards to football. So they actually know me as Mr. West Ham in the village, because I go and watch all the West Ham games. Yes, sorry, Pete. But in return, what I'm doing is I'm actually getting the village to support West Ham on the understanding that I support Sporting, so that's absolutely fine.
Wow! This needs to be a movie. This is incredible. Joseph Marsh is here, everybody. A few of you know this gentleman. Hi, everyone. I see some familiar and friendly faces here. Good to see you, Joseph. He makes a drop or two, doesn't he, Joseph, as well?
He made the best bottle I've ever had. Like the first year we were here, we had a bottle of Joe's that was amazing. So for honestly, that's the best bottle of wine I've ever had in Portugal. It was absolutely incredible. Yeah. And I'm sure, Mark, you'll be making one soon enough. Or even if you give that 2 or 3 years, I'm sure it would be fantastic as well. It's lovely to have so many people that make their own produce. We've had Linda's marmalade, we've had and that feeling that Mark's saying about being embraced by the community is so true. It's just lovely to be able to go wherever you go, that you always know everyone. You always say hello. It's just lovely. So yeah, I will definitely have to go fishing.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Love you both. There you go. Fantastic. And Joseph's another great example, isn't he, of complete integration and love, mutual love in his locality.
He's got a great story, hasn't he, Joseph? To be honest, I mean, the people who are on this screen at the moment. I mean, he's probably a bit further down the line than anybody else.
Yes.
He makes wine. He grows things. His cherries, and he's well into the lifestyle. He's had children here, so
he makes babies as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
With the Portuguese. Good effort, Joseph. All right, fantastic. Good to see you on the screen, and it would be lovely to have some vignettes as well from your respective parts of Portugal. In Alvázora, over in Fundão, Diane and Pete. We've heard about Marc's lifestyle, which I mean, it's such a great advert for. I think for what a lot of people consider would be an amazing life. You've come and done it, and just what you're telling us is so beautiful, Marc, about that integration, and a self-confessed introvert who's managed to completely cross the social line and integrate yourself in 2 years. I think is remarkable. And we're sat here drinking your wine as well at different parts of Portugal. Maybe we can hear what's going on. You mentioned festas, Marc. It's the festa season, isn't it? It's all happening now. What's going on in Alvázora at the moment? What's happening on your land, in your life, and in the local community? And I will go around everybody on this note, because there's something happening everywhere in Portugal right now. How is it in Alvázora?
We're due to have a festa soon. Fapipa, which is a big farming festival.
Oh, okay.
Tractors, men in plaid shirts,
livestock,
plenty of wine, and
arts and crafts.
Yeah. The normal sort of rural sort of backdrop of life.
Have you been working on your beer belly so that you can stand near a tractor with a flat cap on, big beer belly?
Mine's a permanent fixture. It is what it is.
Right, and you've got some nice jeans that come up to your chest, and you can just stand there and look at a tractor and go, "Whoa, I like her."
Wow, look at the horsepower on that. Wow.
Right, fantastic.
You need that one arm.
One arm turn. What about Terence? Terence, we're seeing pictures of you stripped down to the waist, manhandling vegetables. Terence, what's going on for you over in that part of the country?
Well, look at the screen. Pete's there, right? He's down to the skin,
Yeah.
right? He's winding me up as we speak.
He is. It's a red rag to a bull.
It's a red rag to, I don't know whether my testosterone is going to take this.
I can smell it from here, mate.
The competition it's just unfair. He's already made, comments about my man part, right? Yeah. And he thinks he's going to escape, but there's a battle to be had.
He's taunting you, isn't he? He's taunting you. So what's
bumper cars, I think, is brilliant, definitely. And I forgot to mention, Ben gave us the most amazing meal. It's so nice having such a lovely community with so many talented people. I think it's.
What was this lovely meal then, Ben?
A really nice thing.
Oh God, which one?
Which lovely meal?
Oh yeah. When your dad gave us the painting, which was amazing. So my God, it just keeps going, doesn't it? Really, it's fab. It's a lovely community to be in. I think definitely.
Got pride of place on their wall, that painting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Terry.
What did you make then? Say the old man's painting in the living room, and you're mixing it up in the kitchen. What did you pair with the painting?
Was it the 4-course meal? We had.
Yeah, it was really nice. So.
Was it the 4-course meal? He says so modestly. Yes, that sounds amazing. Anything else to share from Alvázora then? Anything coming up on your land in the locality?
It's just getting hot.
I'm just going to suggest that you update Pete's painting with a picture of him going.
Oh yes,
his tractor.
Yeah, Pete. Listen to this, right? Because obviously your testosterone overflow here. I think really what we need to do now with that wonderful, pastiche of your life, the Vista, is to put a little tractor in your red tractor, right? Yeah. You in your sort of skin, beetroot going through the landscape, all that green, singing out,
at one with nature,
as you are,
Indeed.
All right, excellent.
Diane's standing there going, "Come in, the neighbours can see you."
For God's sake.
We have no neighbours, which is awesome. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this most of the time. Anyway,
so that would be quite worrying. If you did have a neighbour staring at you, you would be calling the police, presumably.
Yeah, exactly. But we've got 2 big events coming up. So we have this weekend, which I would recommend to anyone. It's really worth going to. Is Alcongosta, is the Cherry Festival, which is amazing. Lovely. It's really. Right, the cherries in Fundão are incredible anyway, and you always get the Prime Minister there. You get it's really packed and it's really good fun. It's usually involves weird cherry things like cherry kebabs in chocolate and cherry pizzas and cherry pastel donatas, all those sorts of things. Yeah, but that's quite fun.
Yeah, fantastic,
But
excellent.
it comes second to in July. In August we have the Orca Festa, which is obviously the best by far. So our local festa is fantastic, and we will probably be doing the cocktails again this year. So I'd say that's the best thing to go to. If you can't make that, go to El Congosta instead. So
very good. Okay, here's an idea. After we've had half a bottle of wine, it sounds like an NFU Young Farmers calendar. Is it time for us to have the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club calendar?
January or February or March?
February. You're Mr. February.
Mr. February.
Yeah, Mr. February.
Because it's cold and yeah,
and a bit shriveled,
like a January vine leaf. So I think, how about that? Who's up for doing a calendar, like a Good Morning Portugal or a wine calendar?
Pete's all right though. Pete's all right. He's in the
already doing it.
Yes, he's you know.
August. There he is. Okay.
Is it August?
Terence, are you in?
Am I in for what? Yeah. What am I in for?
You're going to go on a calendar.
A calendar.
Young Farmer's calendar.
Young Farmer. I'm 62.
No. Look, a Good Morning Portugal Wine Club calendar.
That's young in Portugal, John.
That's true.
About 20 years below the average age out here. So I think
you're avoiding the question. Are you up for it, Terence?
Okay. The fact is, I'm not young. I'm not a farmer.
That means yes, by the way.
Right?
Yeah, okay. We'll take that. Let's move on to Gary. Gary, are you up for it?
I'm April. I'm cold and wet, and nobody really wants to go there, do they?
Okay, that's good enough for me. So we've got 3. Johnny Cocktail, could you don't have to answer just yet, but could you whet our appetites about traveling to the Algarve at the moment?
Well, I can say that there is something all the time already. I've been inundated by visitors and love that, but a brief break, it's not hard to find something of whatever is of your interest. Yeah. And it's going to just get more and more, as it will, I mean, throughout Portugal, whether it's the medieval festivals and the Eastern Algarve, or the Black and White Festival in Carvoeiro. It's endless, and this will be my first go around. I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I'm waiting for Terence to tempt me more with the farmers event. So.
Yes, well, it's only a calendar so far, but it could turn into an event. It could become more hands-on, as it were. I've got another volunteer. If Chinese Terriers, so I think a nice, I don't know, chopsticks, whatever, or a wok hiding the certain ingredients, whatever. But I'm going to say yes myself as well. So I think we've got one.
No, surely not.
Not you.
No, seriously.
What? You draw the line.
Let somebody else have a go. When are you born? In July?
Yes, you don't have to have your birth month.
Over there to your right is born in July.
Oh yeah,
come on, man.
Now you've been outmaneuvered.
I'm going to leave this. No, Jackie is a very wise woman, and I think we need to go with her wisdom on this. Just popped in to say, have a fab live stream and smash the like button, folks, please. Yes, we could call it the like button calendar, and you could smash our like button anytime you like, Jackie. Would you buy? I mean, a bit of market research, Jackie. Would you buy a calendar if it had Pete, Terry, Garvo, me, Ben, probably, yeah,
Mark as well,
and Bonnie and Mark? I mean, half a year already.
Come on, when are you born, Mark? What month are you in?
Mark, are you up for it?
Yeah.
There you go. Amazing. The introverted Mark is
here.
Linda, we're witnesses to this.
Awesome thing about Portugal is everyone shows up. Even if you've got like a soup festival or a parsnip festival, everyone goes. It's just fantastic. And I think
that's what some people will call our calendar, the Parsnip Festival, I suspect. Very good. And Mike's going to bring his firefighter's axe. Who doesn't like a big firefighter's chopper first thing in the morning?
It's gone.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I will say, I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're halfway through the year, aren't we? If Johnny did say yes, which I think he did. He's got a thumbs up. Fantastic. Festa is in Corvidia. Joseph, will you be in it as well? Let us know. Give us a thumbs up if you fancy it as well. Joseph will be up, won't he? Yeah, okay, fantastic. And your dad, ask your dad as well. Ask Mr. Marsh Senior. Okay, Jackie has raised the stakes here. As long as everyone is naked, of course we're going to be naked, Jackie, with Portuguese wine or beer hiding the bits. That should take care of it, shouldn't it?
The question is it a mini or a regular?
I've got a bottle of mini somewhere.
What's going to be at the calendar?
A dark in the bottle, yes. Yeah.
All right. Nubianet, what about a co-ed calendar? Why leave the ladies out? That's a very good question. No, we're not going to leave the ladies out. There's 6 men, 6 ladies. How about that? Okay. We could be very on trend. We could have men, women, and people who prefer not to say so, and you have to guess.
Can we have men and women on the same picture?
Jackie, you can answer that.
We're going to need more bottles. Yes.
We're going to need a bigger boat. Good evening, guys and girls from the Square of the Shires. And I wouldn't want to lose followers. I think we've got a basic yes from most people. And this is published to YouTube. It's all over. This is the documentary evidence. And thanks, Diane and Linda, for being. So, Johnny,
I've just gone to the cellar and I found Terence's bottle for the calendar.
Oh, I see. That's how it. Let me just zoom in a minute. As people... No need to zoom in there.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Very good. Okay. Excellent stuff. Some of us are going to have to source a stainless steel barrel. But anyway, that's a problem for another time. Johnny, is that everything that you want to say about the Algarve? I mean, obviously, a massive attraction from all over the world, people coming there. Have you got a specific and local festa that you would recommend that people might not have heard of?
Well, again, this is my first summer going through it, so I'm accumulating notes, and I'll be able to be a better contributor this time next year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect any advertising, right? Honestly, nothing is advertised. It's all
no. I just follow the crowd and the smell of the sardines grilling and the sound of the wine bottles being opened.
And Frango. Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
that's a nice idea for our scratch calendar, isn't it? As well, that we can take it to the level. Right, Mark. This evening has been in honor of you. Your amazing transition into Portuguese culture, the production of this beautiful wine, which has got an all-round thumbs, more than a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. Absolute love of your wine here. We're enjoying it here in San Martino de Porto, where we'll have the Sant Antonio Festival starting up. Everything's getting ready in the town for that. So cheers, mate. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Parabéns to you on all of it. Your life here, this amazing wine that you've produced, and your future here in Portugal. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Mark.
Right, Mark. Thank you. Right, I've got a bottle of Dow here, right? Of a young Dow of roughly the same sort of Touriga National, right? So we're going to put it up against yours. So just to be fair, in the
said that before.
Sportsmanship, we've got a Dow.
He's going head to head. Oh, there's okay. By the way, others around the country, we've got Mike and Karen are drinking the Pioneiro, which that should be in your honor. You are, I mean, this is very appropriate because you are the pioneer, Mark, and you've done an incredible job in that capacity as a pioneer into Portugal, and you've made yourself known to the locals, and you're going down very well, just like your wine is. They're liking this tonight. That's Mike and Karen over in Miranda de Corvo, where they've also been partying, I think, 5 nights, I think. Philomena said to me of partying over there. This country is the party capital of the world. It starts now and it goes on until Christmas, pretty much. And I don't know why this isn't like a travel guide, travel catalogue, brochures. You know, come to Portugal from the end of May till the end of December, and you could party every weekend. It's extraordinary. Forget about Goa and Ibiza. This place is amazing. I heard someone saying the medieval festivals. Sotelia is my recommendation. Ben, do you want to say something about medieval festivals? You've been learning how to fight in a medieval style, haven't you?
Yes, I have recently.
Okay,
I've
how's
got
that
quite a
going?
few bruises.
I see the bruises there. Yeah. So how's that going? Is that a thing here in Portugal?
Oddly
Can
enough,
we see the damage? Can we see bruises? Is that possible?
In the
I'll
calendar.
have to take my trousers down. But
No,
I'm not sure
no,
that's
you
allowed.
can't. You can't.
Just a flesh wound.
Those were
Reviews. Go on, Carl. Definitely. Go on, Ben. Have we got any music for company yet?
Sorry, what was that, Pete?
I said, if you got any music to accompany it, you need
No.
some sort of striptease thing, don't you? Surely.
Wheels cha-cha. No, stop it. We don't want to see that because Terence will start taking his clothes off at that end as well. So, but it's the what is it? Hand-to-hand, old-style combat.
There's various what we call modules or modalities. I think English translation of that would be modules or modalities.
Okay, medieval modules.
Yeah, we do HEMA, which is historical European martial arts. We do Buha as well, which is basically smash the crap out of each other while you wear armor.
Excellent.
HEMA.
So like rugby with armor.
Basically,
Very
yes.
good. Okay.
We call that dating.
It's Algarve dating. Fantastic. Well, okay, you be careful. You be careful with that. Mark, is there anything you want to? We're up to the hour now. That's flown by. Is there anything you want to add? Anything? You've been very kind, sharing with us your wine this evening. Is there anything you need? Anything that's missing from your? It doesn't sound like it, but anything that we can help you with from this community?
No, so when again, when I was looking at moving over, I reached out to Garbo, yourself, obviously watched, your morning show an awful lot. But no, it's, I just feel very, very fortunate that, as I said, that the village has embraced me. It hasn't been easy for me, but I'm there and I've done it. And as I said, I think I've probably got as many Portuguese friends in the village now as what I've got, English, immigrants across, sort of the whole thing. I guess, sort of the only thing we might need to do is come back for the Aguadent.
Oh my goodness.
Hold the Madronia. Madronia.
Hold the front page.
We could also move on to the ginger. So I've made my own ginger as well.
You have.
And we can also then move on to the low-quat liqueur. And I've also got low-quat Aguadent on the go as well at the moment.
Wow. And what you've got a still from the farm shop, have you? And you're in production.
Yeah.
Amazing. Go on, Johnny.
So I just have a question for Mark. As you've been talking about your integration into your community, and that's great as you're becoming more assimilated with the locals, but what do you want to do with your quinta? What is your vision for scaling? And do you want this to become more? Because I'm already thinking the next go around, the next harvest, the next crush, do you need people from our community to travel to you to help you do those tasks?
Yeah. So
that's something that I'm in.
Yeah. So this year I produced 375 litres. Obviously, legally, you're only allowed to produce 500 litres for personal consumption. But historically, the quinta is always made between 1,000 and 1,300 litres. So this year was very low for, there's a number of reasons there. The dryness of last year, sort of it was just so hot very early on. This year already the grapes are looking much, much larger, much more bountiful, and yet the harvest is going to be. I would anticipate I may well be hitting that sort of 1,000 litres, and that moves into a completely different thing. The first thing is I might actually have some to keep for a few years. Because the rate I'm going at the moment, the 375 litres that I've done this year. I am going to struggle to actually keep, much left, for sort of future years. So I feel very positive about how things may go and so forth. But it's a bit of fun, but it's actually getting some serious fun, and that's the challenge, I think.
Well, balancing that.
As to where do we go from here?
You don't want another job, do you? You don't want to make it into. You don't want to turn it into a job.
Well,
I mean,
no, I want it to continue as sort of a hobby, but I think there are local people that would be very interested in taking quantity off me rather than the local restaurant as a starting point.
Great. We'll come to Pete and Garvin in just a minute, but that's a great question, Johnny, because there is something we could do as a community, which is like a community-supported agriculture, isn't there? If people promise to buy this many litres from you, if it's a good year, and then that could be carried forward to another year, that would give you some kind of forward funding or promises to take the stock. And based on what we've seen tonight, I mean, there will be no problem with that. I suspect as well.
Carl, I'm willing to donate my hands and my feet to collect and to crush. And when it gets to that point too, because for me, it's just a great adventure in another part of Portugal I haven't visited yet.
Wonderful.
So I'm in,
where we are.
Consider me a resource.
All right, we'll add you to the Ninjas group, and yeah, absolutely, a resource, community-supported agriculture. Garvo, Pete's next. Go on, Pete.
Oh, Pete. Well, I was going to say, Johnny, if you ever fancy doing some olive harvesting, you're more than welcome up here as well. But no, I think you've got a great chance there, Mark. But weren't you affected? Like when we had our mate from the Douro, we had those 3 full summers. Where it got really hot and then got really cold again, really freezing cold. Weren't the grapes affected by it at all? I was just trying to, because like our friend was saying, it was a nightmare for him. I don't know, like just having those weather changes was quite bad this year compared to previous years that we had. Although it was weird last year as well. I don't know.
Yeah, so my understanding, and a lot of the local people are saying that last year's production was actually quite low because of the sheer amount of heat. The real early heat and then the prolonged heat. I'm very fortunate that all of my vines are irrigated, and therefore, obviously that certainly helped. But this year, I think it's almost the opposite. That we've had so much water. I don't think I'll be irrigating at all this year. But again, the challenge this year is all of a sudden we've gone to that real intense heat, and the grapes have actually started to grow slightly later this year than what they did last year. So again, for me, it's all learning. Every day is a school day, but it's really interesting sitting down with some of the guys that have, they're 70, 80 years old, and they absolutely, they've been making wine since the year, since they've been 10, because that's the lifestyle here. They're all sort of saying a similar thing, and they're hopeful that this year is actually going to be a much, much better year.
Well, here's to that. Michael Bliss joining us tonight. I'm buying plus crushing grapes. Oh, I could crush a grape. And whatever is needed. Love this idea. Thanks for joining us tonight, Michael. Completely agree, says Joseph. Total wipeout last year. Vines hated the lack of rain. I'm unirrigated in the vineyard. A nice euphemism. Garvo.
Right. First of all, it's just a chance that you might just put the getting link to so Joe might be able to come on just for the last few minutes.
That's the lock-in. There's a lock-in there. So anyone who doesn't want to be on this live stream, we'll cut the live stream and then we'll have some after hours chatting after.
The other thing is, right, John, I can see a plan forming here, right? And what you need to do is get to Albayazra, and then what we will do, we'll probably go over and see Mark because he's not too far away from me, and then we can venture off and go and see Pete. How's that sound for a plan? Because that covers all bases, really, doesn't it?
These are my always picking thumbs. Yes,
it'll be like that road trip movie with those two guys who visit vineyards, but without the sex and the passive aggression. All right, okay. Well, make of that what you will. Thank you, Louise, for being here. Call me a Philistine, but I am drinking a neighbour's 15% wine cut with a Caparage boxed red. Correction, it is a Capotage box red. I'm so glad to hear that, because I was doubting your judgment on the Capotage, but now you've corrected that. The Capotage, yes, that's fair enough. And obrigado, todos, delightful fusion of laughter and libations. That is the motto of that's what we're all about, isn't it? Good morning, Portugal. Wine
The
Club.
universal language of wine.
Write that down.
Shut up. You big wuss.
Sounds like a good visit, Garbo. Road
Don't
trip.
come to Garbo for any cheese. That's all I can say.
Sideways, wasn't it? Right. I think we need to leave it there after a concluding comment. Basically, we've had yours, Mark, haven't we? And thank you so much. Thank you very much. And thank you for that kind of request or just heads up for the future. And we're at your service, as I think you heard there. Austin's, Alvazra, what you got to say in conclusion?
Can I go first?
Please.
Without heckling in the background?
Hey,
That's unlikely.
I can't guarantee that.
Unlikely.
I'll try and
Mark, right. Great wine, loved it completely. Right, we faced it up against this Dow, yeah, which is a nice Dow. It's very nice, but it's a bit thin compared to yours, to be honest. Keep it coming, kid. I'm looking forward to the next batch.
There you go. The Garbo thumbs up. Terence.
Okay, you skipped. I thought you were going to Linda there, but
Linda.
all right. Surprise me, mug me.
Want some more cheese?
No, I bloody don't want any more of that cheese. That is foul. It's the worst cheese. Spit it out, and I'm telling you what, there's not much I'll spit out, but that's another story. Now, the wine. Let's get back to the wine. It's brilliant. I mean, for a first stab at wine, I mean that's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Full marks to you. Now we've got the other Dow, which is soft and a bit more sort of typical. Yeah, you know, it falls into that range. But what you've got there, Mark, is a wonderful taste, a nice fruitiness, a nice young wine, which has kind of got mature undertones, but it's not like fighting it. It's a great wine. It's at the moment, I think it's a real sort of one that is a bit of a new experience for me, kid.
It's the opposite of you in a way, isn't it? We know we were doing wines that represent a person. You seem to be immature, but you've got mature undertones. This wine is the other way around, isn't it?
We're talking about the wine, aren't we? Here, we're talking about the wine, and the wine has some wonderful characteristics, and it's a real surprise. You know, I was thinking to myself before I came on, because to be honest with you, I have tasted some fairly ropey young wines. You know, when people say, you know, I make my own wine, and then your heart sinks a little bit. You know, at the end of the toilet. then you're picturing toilet, you know, not. But this is fab, man. I mean, for your first stab, I mean,
very good. Yes. Definitely. Linda, how many glasses?
It's gone.
I don't know how many glasses I just drunk it. It was very, very nice, very pleasant. I really enjoyed it. But actually, Carl, did you actually say what you thought of the wine? I don't think you have.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Me and Ben are just sitting here waiting to have it with our spag bowl tonight. Looking forward to having a chat in the lock-in. A beautiful evening, absolutely beautiful evening. I've said it before. This is just so wonderful how it's to do with this our broad community here, and you know this whole phenomenon of the people who are part of this you know this our larger community here. So that it's swollen my heart and other body parts this evening very much. So I appreciate that, Mark. Linda, did that answer your question?
Pardon? What did you say?
I said it's swollen my heart and other body parts. Didn't expect to say that, but you know you can have that as a review, Mark.
His liver, okay? His liver, fatty liver disease.
Liver, yes, including my liver. Right. So I think that's the Austin faction and our Viagra tonight. Ryan and Pete, your concluding comments. I shall mute the Austin faction for a moment.
Mark, it was lovely. It was a really good wine. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And as I said, we didn't even wait till tonight, which is awful of us. So we do feel very bad for that.
Proud of you.
Wine is for drinking, though.
Bloody right.
Exactly.
And I much prefer, honestly, all the best wines I've had. It's difficult, but all the best wines I've had are homemade. I had some really lovely ones.
You said this before, Pete, haven't you? Because and they're not going to get to the shops. This is a different ecosystem, a different experience, isn't it? And we are enjoying it tonight. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's lovely, and because you know what's gone into it as well, you know that it's been a passion project rather than necessarily being something that someone's going to trying to make money on. So I think that adds to whatever you're having anyway, to be honest, and in quite a big way. So it's lovely. Thanks a lot, Mark, for giving us a bottle. We really appreciate it.
It went down nicely one evening.
It was very nice, definitely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Cheers, Diane. Cheers, Pete. And it's very authentically Portuguese what we're doing tonight, isn't it? Just, this would be a local restaurant experience, wouldn't it? Trying some local wine, and we've managed to bring it to the screen, to this environment, and have that experience here. So thanks again for that. Johnny, what do you have to say?
Thank you, Mark. A great taste. And in tasting this, I'm envisioning what it could become. As your production may grow, as you are able to lay a little down, maybe you put some on wood and it brings a different expression. I'm very excited about what's going to be happening for you in your future. So thank you for bringing us in at this early moment in this production. And we'll be able to say, I remember when.
Oh, yes, that's right. We will, won't we? Well said, Johnny. Ben, I've had my say. Over to you, Ben, for final words this evening before we have a bit of spag bol on the lock-in.
Yeah, no, I was very pleasantly surprised, when most people say, oh, I've got this wine that I've done myself, and, I expect vinegar.
Yeah.
Pure vinegar.
It's like, do you want to come up and see my etchings? And you have to, be polite about it. Yeah. That sort of thing.
No, but this was very pleasant. Went down very easily. It's got the tanning and the acidity that you expect with a young wine, but it's got a marvelous degree of complexity as well, which I'm very impressed by, and I'm very curious to see how it evolves over the years.
Young and complex. How have you managed that, Mark? I don't know. I mean, do you know how you did it, or is there some magic, some Portuguese magic in there? How did that happen? Just a final word from you.
So a lot of the time I just went with my gut. So for example, as soon as I'd actually crushed the grapes, normally they say you should leave them in the doorner for 10 to 14 days. Mine ended up being in there for 21 days because they were still fermenting at a really sort of vigorously. And then I just took the guidance and the advice from people. So but equally, I think it's the quality of the vines that were planted 20, 25 years ago. There was, at that point in time, I don't think there was no money was scrimped on whatsoever, and I feel as though I'm bearing the fruit of, sort of the last 20, 25 years. And I'm absolutely delighted. I think firstly, thank you very much for all your really kind comments. If you do want 35 litres of vinegar, I've got 35 litres of vinegar. I've got another 25, which is a little bit, but I'm incredibly proud of what I've achieved. I really genuinely am. And I'm quite humbled by the comments that people have given, not only yourselves, but when I can't walk down the street now with somebody saying, can we swap a bottle of wine? That is an incredible feeling. It really is an incredible feeling. So thank you.
Beautiful. That's a great note to leave it on. Join us next month. We haven't got a theme, but maybe Mark will choose one for us in this lockdown that we're going to have after. You've seen the link there, or just WhatsApp me if you want to join us for a chat off air. Mark, thanks so much to you, to the Austins, to the Bleachers. Ben, thank you very much. And Johnny Cocktail in the Algarve. And most of all, Marc Stowells in Sobreira. Stowells of Sobreira tonight. Thank you very much. Goodbye for now.